Greetings, class. It is my hope you're progressing well with your assignments this week for Module 2. I just posted a video to provide a quick review of Module 2-1 handout and offer some key information and resources to best use in order to complete this assignment. So now I am going to take a quick review of the 2-2 Final Project Milestone One and give some insight as you're progressing with completing this assignment as well. So let's take a quick look and see how this assignment needs to be completed. Just to revisit the assignment instructions and rubric, in order for you to complete this assignment, you will need to visit the final project guidelines and rubric section because there is a case scenario that you will need to review. I think it consists of two parts. But the first part is you will submit a paper with scholarly references right here. If it says scholarly references, this means that you are going to research your information using the Shapiro Library online and retrieving as many empirical studies or peer review research studies as you can find to support your assignment. And so scholarly references mean not the websites. And websites, of course, I would not suggest using them because the owner of the website has the ability, whether if it's a company or whether if it's a 501(c)(3) organization, they have the ability to change that information to the point that if someone goes back and look at it later, it could be different. So it's always encouraged to use scholarly resources or scholarly references, which actually comes from your university library, which is the Shapiro Library. All right, so let's take a look at some of the key elements that you will need to be mindful of as you are completing this assignment. And when I say key elements, I'm talking about these first three bullets. These bullets actually give you insight uh, of what you will need to have included in your assignment, but this is actually the critical key information you must include in your assignment. So, to look at the first part of what this assignment needs to have in it is the first bullet talks about examining the problem of the case scenario that you are to review in your final project guidelines and rubric area by clicking on the blue link to locate that case scenario. The goal is to examine the problem and reflect on the accuracy of the identification of the problem and any protocols or appropriate strategies that were followed. And the only way you would know that is to refer back to your course text readings and your course materials to determine if, and of course, I should say the National Organization for Human Services website too, as well, because that's what human services are ethically bound to follow. But any of those resources to determine if that case scenario uh, actually identified the problem and the appropriate human service strategies were followed. So this cannot be determined by your mind. This actually has to be determined by backup research. So that takes care of the first bullet. The second one is to describe the people involved and determine if they were the best people to help resolve the situation. So in your assignment, I would suggest actually putting this like in an introduction. Let that be the first thing you talk about. So that way it shows the key elements have been addressed in regards to these three bullets. So going back to the second one, describing the people involved. So in your case study, talk about the people that were involved. Identify the key characteristics of who they are. And it also, I want to encourage not to just sum it up to have a quick paper, but to be detailed and to actually learn what it takes to become a human service professional in this uh, particular field of practice. Because if you're ever interviewed for these positions, and of course, in the human services field, they interview sometimes it's like five, six, seven people asking you questions. They know what to look for. They know those key elements and strategies, and they know how to break down the demographics or the characteristics of a target population. And if you do not know that, they're not going to see a need for you to be hired because you won't have the knowledge to help advance their agency. So it is important to learn all of these key elements of all of these assignments because in a very competitive world, this will help you to increase your chances of impressing those interviewers that you're trying to seek the job for. So I just thought I'd give a little heads up on that. All right, so going back to the second bullet again, describe the people involved. This means to break it down and give some information about their characteristics. And also, should others have been involved? When you're answering this question, make sure it is done appropriately and ethically. Not that should others just come into to be involved in a specific situation, but making sure that they ethically be there. And of course, your National Organization for Human Services website and the course text has excellent information in giving insight on ethical standards. Okay. All right, looking at the third bullet, discuss the ethics that need to be considered in the case scenario. And here we go. What ethical codes governing bodies should be considered. This actually comes from the National Organization for Human Services. And that article is actually a part of your course readings material. So take a look at that. It'll take you to the website to where you can look at those ethical standards, which are the ethical codes that should be considered to be addressed in this section. Okay. All right. For the next section, when we get to the critical elements, this is where, and please create a heading so that your instructor can know that you're talking about this information. The intervention effectiveness right here. Was the problem identified accurately based on the precipitating events? Notice how the word problem is in bold. This is what you're being graded on, making sure that you clearly give details about that problem, making sure that based on what you're learning through your course readings, has the problem been accurately and clear and concisely described based on the precipitated events, and also what type of protocols or strategies or approaches or steps that were followed. So when you're exploring this particular section and getting ready to answer it, make sure that you know or become aware of those ethical standards and what your course reading materials have shared for this week to best fit how you're going to respond to that particular uh, question or that, I should say, that bullet. Secondly, letter B, were the were the appropriate people, agency staff, client, friends, family, community stakeholders were for resolving the crisis quickly identified. So chapter 3, I think in your course text, I think I talked about it before. That one in chapter 4 will give you great insight on the type of crisis or type of social problems that are uh, that occurs in the human service profession and who should be the most appropriate should be involved in resolving those crises or social problems quickly. So utilize your course text, go to the index, which is the back of the book, look for keywords to help you find or research the appropriate response to make. Please do not state it off the top of your head because that can lead to unethicalness, biasness, or it can lead to liability between you and the company or the job that you are presumed to be at. So this is why ethical codes are stressed a lot in this particular week because they help to make sure that the human service professional is meeting those standards, and they're meeting the standards based on what is in the best interest of the clients based on the codes or the standards that are given for that profession. Okay, in B, it also says, was there anyone else that should have been included? And that's actually right here that I'm reading. Just make sure that if you make a decision to determine if someone else should have been included, make sure that you validate that through either your scholarly research or your course text readings. You can never go wrong with your course text readings because they keep you on track. Sometimes resources or research is good. It's just making sure that it meets the criteria that you're learning, which is the course objectives. So definitely utilize your course reading materials, course text, and then, of course, researching, uh, utilizing the Shapiro Library. I would actually encourage to use that as a secondary source. Okay. All right, and this should be letter C. I don't know why that says letter E, but this should be letter C, where ethical codes followed in the intervention stage. You know those ethical codes are going to come from the National Organization for Human Services. So definitely look at your ethical codes there, and of course, revisit those ethical codes in your course text too as well. They give a great breakdown in terms of how those codes should be followed when you're providing services to clients. Support your claims with examples. That means give examples from research. So this is where we go back to those scholarly references up here. So definitely support it using research. What did you find in the Shapiro Library or your course text that will back up those claims, those examples from the scenario? And could anything have been done differently based on that case scenario? Make sure that you utilize research to support and validate if it could have or should have not been done differently. For the second part of this assignment, you're going to complete the community resource worksheet, which is pretty explainable. Um, just identifying a minimum of 6 agencies, clients, community resources that can help you prepare for a crisis situation. Like these are the people that you would refer your clients to, or there will be resources that will work with you in connection with your clients. Like it would be through some kind of multidisciplinary treatment plan, or it may be something that is court ordered, or it could be from any stance. So for this particular one, you're going to submit the worksheet itself. So retrieve the community worksheet, complete it. I think it comes up in the Word document. Complete it, identifying no less than 6 agencies, clients, or community resources. And then, of course, identifying also the following critical elements too for each agency, client, or community. Explain why you chose that agency, list the type of services that this agency provides, state how the services are provided at each agency, and describe the population that each agency serves. So for this particular second part of this milestone assignment, you will use the website to locate those agencies and to answer those bullets as well. All right, so remember to submit in a 1 to 2 page Word document. Microsoft Word is what uh, Southern New Hampshire use. If you don't have Microsoft Word, if you go to your email account, your SNHU email account, and you look to the top left, you're going to see like a little Rubik's Cube up there. If you click on that Rubik's Cube, Microsoft Office 365 comes up, and it has like Word, it has PowerPoint, it has Excel. These are the apps that are given to you paid free by Southern New Hampshire University. So if you have any questions and wanting to use those, but you can't really locate them or retrieve them or pull them, just feel free to reach out to me, your instructor, Dr. Bell, and I will definitely show you how to locate those. Remember, all assignments are typed using 12-point Times New Roman font. That is current APA font. And your margins are 1 inch all around. This means You can YouTube how to make your margins 1 inch all around and get the actual video that walks you through it. I've posted 2 videos in the announcements in your course that actually shows how to cite and reference information as well as how to format a paper. Please use those videos to complete the first part of this assignment, citing at least three resources or research from the Shapiro Library, and then also submitting your community resource worksheet using the template that's located right here. If I click on it, it's going to take me there, but that's located right there. Make sure that you keep in mind your rubric. So if you want to excel, make sure you clearly explain how the problem was identified in regards to the precipitating events, making sure you validate that with citations from course text readings or secondary resources. And that was for part 1. Assess whether it's appropriate based on the National Organization for Human Services. Also, making sure that the intervention was effective, um, utilizing those ethical codes. And of course, the course text kind of gives more of a conversational breakdown in terms of ethical codes. And feel free to utilize your course text as well. Kind of revisit all of the rubric guidelines that are identified for this assignment here because it has 2 parts. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me at l.meritybell Merity-Bell at snhu.edu, or you can just visit the virtual office and post your question or concerns there. Okay, so this completes the quick review for your Module 2-2 Final Project Milestone 1. Again, reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. Otherwise, I look forward to reading it. Don't forget, all assignments are due on Sunday at the end of the module in your time zone. Other than that, that's it. Take care and continue to strive to do your very best, starting off on a great foot, and let's get this done. Have a good day. Bye bye.